virtual Boston Azure AI event. I'm Bill Wilder, and we're joined by co-runners Jason Haley and Veronica Kolesnikova. The three of us run Boston Azure AI. Mostly we do in-person events, but we also do these virtual events, so they're open to the whole world. Tonight we have an exciting topic. Everybody's thinking about agents and building agents these days. So our speaker today is going to cover a pretty big deal framework, the Microsoft Agent Framework, specifically talking about workflows. And the speaker is Marcel Medina. He's a lead developer, a Microsoft Most Valuable Professional, a Microsoft Certified Trainer, and an Azure specialist with over 20 years of experience in the tech industry, a playground enthusiast, also passionate about technology and loves to engage with the technical community to share knowledge and exchange experiences, which is what's happening today. So join me in welcoming Marcel, who, by the way, is calling in from Australia, where I think it's tomorrow there. So a little time travel. He's just had breakfast. Well, I guess Shantanu just woke up so in Serbia. At any rate, join me in welcoming Marcel for Microsoft Agent Framework Workflows from Zero to Hero. You have the floor, Marcel.
Oh, thanks so much, Bill, for the introduction. When you said like 20 plus years, it feels like yesterday, right? So yeah, but so for those that don't know me, yeah, I've been working with technical communities recently. Well, I say recently, it's been 5 years. But for me, it's been like the greatest experience ever beyond my work. And I'm a consultant. I work with different enterprise here, like ANZ, New Zealand, and Australia, based in Australia, Sunshine Coast. And I'm here to share something, well, what I've been doing for clients on this side of the world. And yeah, something cool, right, for like developers. And I know like we have like different backgrounds in here. What I want to bring is just an overview with some code, right? For some of you guys, you may find, oh, that's a highly technical, but I guess what I want to show is that how it works, and then you get the concepts, the fundamentals, and then you get the source codes, and you try yourself, right? So that's like what I want to bring in here. And I have some slides. I'm gonna be mixing between codes and slides because there's some concepts in here. Interesting enough is that this particular content is now being considered as part of one new Microsoft exam, like this new AI certification exams. So if you check like this session, you're basically ticking the box for one of the topics, right, that they cover on those exams. I think the exam is AI 500. When I originally created like this session, I didn't know about the exam. So it's beneficial, right? So you learn how the patterns work, and you can, if you intend to do any certifications in future, yeah, you're gonna have the knowledge. All right, let me just share like here my screen and bring in my slides. So just bear with me. Should be this screen. Cool. All right, so this is a slide that was AI generated. And the point is that, well, AI is just taking over. And even like for me, I've been working with like producing like presentations, and AI is now doing the work for me, right? So I think that's a positive thing because I only get to tell what needs to be done, and AI is doing that for me. From a code perspective, also like it does help you, but you are in control, right? So you need to know exactly what happens behind the scenes. We're going to be talking about agent framework workflows. I have like samples in C#, so in .NET, and this is one of those. I'm going to bring different scenarios where we're going to be approaching some orchestration patterns. Those are not new to the market. Like people have been doing that in different integrations. It's just something that was custom, I would say, developed like under like particular libraries within the agent framework. So we're going to be exploring that. For those that don't know me, so well, we had like the great introduction from Bill. I'm a MVP. Also like being working playground enthusiast and coder. You can see like from my blog, it's tech.playgokids.com. If you go to the root, you're gonna see something amazing that helps like lots of parents. And I'm part of Arinco, which is a consultancy here on the other side of the world. I'm an app and innovation consultant. If you want to get in touch with me, this is my QR code. Feel free to touch base. Yeah, and I'm always happy to have chats. Help people, really. Yeah, so that's something that's been really rewarding to me personally in my career as well. By the way, on the other side of the world, I'm also like a meetup leads, right? So user group leads. We have the coding night and Zeds. Now we introduced the local version, so we're having in-person sessions. So if you ever happen to come here to this side of the world, so we have workshops, in-person sessions. Feel free to join and ping me like when you're here. What we're going to be covering, right? So foundations of those sort of workflows, how they work, building blocks. So within those workflows, we have different parts. We're going to be approaching how they are connected. Dev UI. I was talking like to Bill before like the session started, and he mentioned that creating mermaids graphs out of workflows. So mermaid is a way of representing uh, flows through like diagrams, right? But we have a way of validating how those work and visualizing how those workflows run with Dev UI. So I'm going to be showing how it works. For like those orchestration patterns, that's when we're going to go through codes and you're going to see how it works. The executor is something, it's part of the library within the agent framework that contains a range of executors. I'm going to explain what they are, their role, what they do, and how you can be leveraging them in more advanced scenarios, right? So let's just continue. So when it comes to workflows, so on AI, so everything is considered to be non-deterministic. So things that are occur like with AI, AI comes with prompts, or you provide a prompt, AI gets to do a particular task for you. And with workflows, we have like this view that we basically have like this train on tracks, right? That's my way of bringing that and aligning knowledge because you know how it's going to work. So it's deterministic. Things are not going to deviate from that, right? It's not going to derail at all. Different with those with AI, those agents, where things are completely dynamic. When we combine agent framework with workflows, so we are kind of wrapping AI agents onto a deterministic way, like on tracks. So because that's the power of workflows. You know what's going to happen after a few stages, right? So something is going to occur, and then by the end, from inputs, you're going to have an output. From there, you have what it needs to happen in the following steps of the workflow, right? So they're like this is being used like the markets for multiple things, integrations, and that's not something new. But with AI agents, now we have ways of putting them on tracks. Looking here, the building blocks with the agent framework workflows is that imagine that for workflows to occur, like with agent framework, we're going to have an input, something is going to happen in the middle, and then we're going to have an output. What's in the middle? We have, let's see if I can bring my laser pointer in here. right? What's in the middle? We basically have this concept of these executors, which are these processing nodes. They have logic, right? So, okay, so what does it mean? Like, you basically have a particular um, piece of code that is going to be executed in here. And this can be a simple deterministic piece of code. When I say like a task that doesn't go to a LLM, or it could go like you could open a communication with an LLM, right? So you could have like whatever in here, for example, right? You could have even API calls or MCP calls. Uh, Imagine this as a bubble, right? So that's how you put like your codes in here. With you have an input and an output. That's the same on the other sides where we have another executor. We're gonna bring like some scenarios with workflows, but we have here like two bubbles. And imagine that in workflows we connect the flows through edges. So the edges they are direct connections. So basically connecting the output from an executor to an input of another executor. And we have events. So depending on what you're doing, if you want to watch for a particular event that happens on executor, like for logging purpose, if you want to audit what's happening. So there are like different events, executor invoked. So when like things get like to start to work, so you have this event. When things are completed, so you have executor completed. Even at the whole workflow, you have events here, workflow started, workflow output. That's basically like those building blocks. We're going to be exploring that on code in a way that it's so nice that agent framework provided a wrap around that. You don't even need to get to this point, like where you're working with executors for like production use cases where you're crafting like your workflows. You might get onto that, like in getting to work with executors, because you want to have traceability, auditability, like of what's going on in there. Especially if you're communicating with LLMs, you want to have, like, for example, measure tokens, how much you are paying for things that are happening within the executor. So if you want to have better control, you're going to get to that point. That's advanced. But that's like how I've been working with clients, right? So that's the way how I've been working. But agent framework provides an abstraction on top of that, and which is cool because in some scenarios you don't need to worry about it when things are so simple, right? But something to be aware. I'm going to get to this scenario, a more advanced one, and I don't expect like you to understand like the different types of executors, but knowing what the power that they can bring. Okay, and then the orchestration patterns in here, right? I'm gonna bring this. It's beneficial for you to understand that this is part of AI 500, right? And this is something that I was completely oblivious about it, but that's covered in there on the exam, where we have like these different orchestration patterns or sequential flows. One task happens after the other in a particular order. You have the concurrent pattern, things happen in parallel, right? So for it to decrease time of like particular executions, so you could just launch them in parallel. Things could happen, and in the end, you grab like those results. Handoff, when you have an agent that's responsible for transferring like control to other agents based on its knowledge. That's a scenario in here that it avoids you different. Like I think I can compare to this one with group chats where agents they work together, but there is like a main coordinator. The coordinator just gives, okay, it's your turn now to work. It's your turn to work now. You finished? Yes. Okay, it's your turn. With handoffs, it's smarter, right? So it's very specific, and it gives like the control based on the context. Magentic, this is a new sort of pattern that came up with AutoGen. So there was like historically, there was like AutoGen historically last year, right? There was like AutoGen and semantic kernel. They had kind of have a different purpose, and then all of a sudden Microsoft merged them onto agent framework. The Magentic flow or pattern allows like this. There's a coordinator, a generic coordinator that delivers or the similar as the handoff. It transfers control or sends the control to other agents. However, the Magentic brings a ways of you creating plans, testing the assumptions, and the challenging really what the agents have been doing, right? So all of those five allow you to create this single like robust production system, right? Those are the ones really to be aware of, because from here you can orchestrate, create like different orchestrations where you can combine sequential flows, concurrent flows, mix with like group agents, a group chats. It just depends on workflows that you are dealing with. I'm still not getting to the cases of the business scenarios. I'm going to bring the next slides, but it's just to imagine this as a Lego sort of piece, right, where you can combine things together. This is an anatomy of a multi-agent flow. We're going to have an entry agent, and then you have parallel specialists. And in the end, like when these agents process things, you're going to aggregate things. This is a scenario we call like the fan out, fan in. And it's also within the cloud space integration. That's a pattern orchestration architecture that allows us to spin multiple agents and then aggregate them together. Dev UI. So I mentioned that we have a visual ways of seeing what's happening. Dev UI is an initiative created by the agent framework team that allows us to visualize what's happening with workflows. It brings us with this UI, a friendly UI, OpenAI compatible APIs. It provides a range of APIs for those agents to communicate with. Actually, it's different. Like, so you imagine the dev UI as a web app that queries the LLMs for status. So it provides this API that the agents can reply to it, which is cool because it extracts status and shows where the flow is. It's mainly used like for like observability and traceability. So you see what's happening, like from open telemetry perspective. Should be used only if development only, and then because this is preview, okay, not for production use. Not sure when Microsoft is going to allow this to for users, right? But I wanted to share like some links in here. I think that's the screen I'm sharing. Yeah. And so we have like the agents workflows in here. That's like the foundation for like all the workflows. We have the dev UI. One thing in here is that there is no such documentation for C#, right? But for Python, there is a little bit. So you have like UI for that. I'm gonna show like this on an example. And I'm gonna put like this on the chat, and so you guys can see and have the resource. By the end of the session, I'm going to have QR codes that, well, we're going to get like the details in there as well. I'm just putting like on the chat. And the codes as well that I'm going to walk you guys through. Okay, let's go to the next one. In here, like now the fun starts because we're getting to code. And sequential patterns is that when we have this step-by-step pipeline this scenario is basically, imagine if you're creating a blog, right? So you are the writer or you're the person. But in here, what's happening is that AI is the writer. So AI is creating a blog post just for the scenario, okay? If you're doing that, creating blogs, people are going to see that, well, that's fully AI. Like people want to see like the person behind the blog posts, right? So I'm not saying don't do it, but yeah, be aware that people know when it's AI made or not. So there's like this AI writer. Then we have a reviewer, and he provides some sort of feedback, and an editor that kind of tweaks or he finally publishes the flow. All right, so it just happens in a sequence, and it knows like from the outputs it ingests to the other inputs. Let me show like here on codes now. Okay, I hope you guys can see it. I can kind of zoom in a little bit more. But what I have in here, okay, so this is a solution I created. And then like, oh, Marcel, why did you do that? Is that, well, there are Microsoft workflow or existing code like on GitHub. To be honest, like every single time I jump in there, there's like some challenges, right? Because you get to run things are not necessarily working. And then because it's constantly changing, so I want like a stable version for my demos, right? And things to work in a way that I want to demo, right? So, and we have different parts in here where, for example, what I'm going to do, uh, the sequential here is down here, but I have like the complex one that's up here. The complex leverages uh, executors. Right, so we go like the really advanced, and this is more like, okay, it's abstracted. Down here at the bottom, I have a very simple one that's, you could trigger all of them at once. I'm not going to go in here, but you're going to have access to the repository. I'm going to be exploring them individually. What happens is that on this sequential one, it's very simple. I have like some helpers. You don't need to know what they do. You could open later. But what I want to share is that we have like this main project. It's a console app. We have a shared library, okay, with some helpers in here. What those helpers are, they are tools. Marcel, what are tools? Like, so we have logic that defines some metrics for my workflow. Let's look like the workflow in here, a sequential one. Uh, Before I get to share the codes, we have the packages, NuGet packages in here. The one that we need to have, oops, is this, which is the agents, AI workflows. So that's where like all the workflows are. And because I'm communicating to all different models with OpenAI, Azure, really like in Microsoft Foundry, I have those in here. Interesting enough, extensions AI, those are, they have, for example, some extensions for converting, like, I'm gonna see on code, chat clients to agents. So they have like some wrapping around that makes our life as a developers easier, right? And I'm gonna show like when that one comes, and we're gonna see right now, really. So for example, in here I'm using user secrets. I'm not gonna show in here, but I have like user secrets for OpenAI endpoints, deployments name, which is my model. I'm using GPT-4o on Microsoft Foundry, okay? But I have like a fallback for that, 5.4 mini. OpenAI API key. So I have that all set up. So I'm not showing, but I do have that. So you can have that on with Microsoft Foundry. And as soon as I have that, I'm creating, I have these client options, and then I'm hooking to agents. You can see overall we have agents. And look at here, like, well, I think like this one, for example, I can show. as AI agents, things like that. Like, so what it's doing, it's kind of converting my chat clients to an AI agent. So those smart with those extensions, they kind of help. But I'm basically creating a chat client that has a wrapping around the LLM that converts to an agent, a chat client agent, right? So when you're looking here. But anyways, what it's doing, imagine like we're launching, well, the aircraft is just taking off. For that to happen, I put like a imaginary flow that's we're having like a runway scan agent that does the validation. Okay, we have like aviation sensors that inspect runway status, gate readiness, fuel level, weather conditions. So they're gonna say like, okay, identify or bring me like these conditions reports. Are there any hazards on, I don't know, like on the runway? And we have AI tools in here. I'm gonna just dive in here very quickly. What I have is something. Oh, what are you doing? I'm randomly. Oh, let me put it like that. Wow, is this like particular terminology? Light rain, low visibility, GAVOC. It's just, yeah, weather conditions, okay? But I'm randomly defining them. There's the logic is just random, okay? It just sets a particular status. What's the condition for the weather? Yeah, it's they're like it's clear, like or scan taxiway, debris is spotted, vehicle blocking, something, things could happen, right? So we have those tools. Those tools give power to agents to make decisions. Air traffic control, that's like the other, it's part of the sequence that, okay, so this, there has been like an agent that have gone through the runway, identify the conditions. Now the traffic control is going to say, oh, it's cleared or hold. And then we have the pilots agents that, okay, I'm going to take off or going to hold. That's it. My query is this. This is system prompts. This is my user prompt. Imagine I have departure task here. Service vehicle is parked in a taxiway alpha, blah, blah, blah. Okay, navigate around it and then complete the takeoff row. Sure, let's run that one. I'm gonna put like my sequence in here. Let's see it. I should have, oh yeah, things are happening so fast. Anyways, I should have put like a breakpoint. Let me just stop that. And let's go up to here. I think like putting like a breakpoint in here should help us. Oh, so we initialize all the agents. They still not working together. Can you see here? We have the agent framework provides this wrapping mechanism. Build sequential. Marcel, where are the executors you mentioned? Well, we don't have that in here. It's just abstracted, which makes our life easier for simple things and where when you don't need to have like the sort of full control. But there's it's the beauty of like the agent workflows. We have already a wrapper for that. What I'm gonna do, I want to see my console. So the console is here. Maybe I can put like side by side. Yeah. I'm just going to continue the execution if I can see the play button. Yeah. And you're going to see here like what's going on. All right. So the sequential workflow has started. We can see some sensors like the runway agents has triggered some sensors and then it's providing some reporting that no obstructions, hazard servers, blocking path, coordinates safe taxi around the vehicle, hold short. So there are like some findings in here. And then we have the pilot agents. Okay, the pilot agents saying cut engines. So, well, there won't be any takeoff. Okay, departure held due to unsafe runway conditions. So our agents, they had like sequence workflow in here that was executed. But yeah, you're visualizing through console. That's not nice. How can we do it? Like in a different way, we can look at sequential UI. Here, let's put it that. And I'm gonna walk you through what has changed. By the way, what changed in here from a NuGet perspective? Look, we have Dev UI. So it's a NuGet package in preview that allows us to visualize things. How does it work? We come in here, that's similar code, okay, where we have my different agents doing similar things. And it's different, a little bit different because I'm hooking this to my service collection. So basically initializing this on .NET, on the service collection objects. But because Dev UI requires us to hook OpenAI responses, conversations, hook the UI. Then we have the workflow. Remember that one, build sequential. That's in here. But then we need also to map the responses, conversations, and an endpoint for the Dev UI. It didn't change that much. It's just the wrapping around it, but it remains very similar. And I'm going to launch that. And let's see. And it comes, oh, look, my console. It came up to that, like localhost 7079. I'm going to click on that, and I should have this somewhere on my code. Here. By default, launch like that, 779. You need to put /dev UI. You put that, and then like, boom. That's 125. And then you have this visual representation. That's where I can see all the agents. Remember those agents? Yeah, they're here. And I have the workflow as well. And they're like, oh, okay. Can I talk to the agents? Yes, we can. Like, what can you do? I'm asking the agent, oh, air traffic control. Oh, I can grant or deny takeoff clearance. Perfect. Look, like you can see what's using GPT-4.1, a source in memory, there are environment variables. No environment variables required. My prompt, my system prompt, what the persona, what it can do. And I have in here on this side, I have the events of only for this messaging here, like things triggered is descending. It doesn't allow us to sort that, but you can see starting here, 9:39 a.m. to 9:43 to 53, right? And I can see that, well, we have the outputs. That's nice. It helps us visualizing what's going on. But what I can do in here, well, I want to trigger the workflow and look at that, okay? So we have, look at this, executor. It's in there. I abstracted from us. We really not touching that. The whole library handled that for us. It's a sequential one. Runway scan, air traffic control, pilot agent, output mass. That's the output. It's another executor that didn't even know that agent frame would do it, but it does. And then I can come in here, configure and run. Marcel, what's the input? Oh, remember on codes, we had like an input. Not in here, I don't have my user prompt, but what I have on my previous console app, oh, this is the prompt, okay? Departure, can just put in there, copy in here. I'm gonna put in there, then run workflow. I can see that things are happening, so you can see things spinning here. So the agent is running, it's green now, air traffic control has run, the pilot now is running, it has finished, okay? And I can click, I can visualize what particular tasks that have been executed, give the output. I could go and look in here, like, okay, what happened? Departure held due to unsafe runway condition. So you could see like things happen, but you have like the detailed view of, okay, if I had breakpoints on my codes, I could check things, right? This one would be a little bit trickier because I'm using the wrapper. I remember I'm using like the builds, the sequential workflow, the wrapper around that. If I had individual executors, I could put, that's a more advanced scenario, I could put breakpoints, debug in there and see what happens. I can see, well, checkpoints, like that's all like those details, token consumption. There should be something here like where it shows, yeah, but you can visualize what's going on, okay? Which is pretty cool, and that's a way for you to visualize the workflow, and that helps, really helps. And look, that's it's still running on Visual Studio, but you could see that the sensors were triggered, engines cut, right? So you could combine a visual way with like console. It helps your developer experience, okay? I'm going to stop that. It has stopped. I'm conscious that have like different things, different flows to approach, and I'm going to be jumping on different ones, and not necessarily all of them, but you're going to have access to the codes. You can view like exactly as I explained, like the step by step, because they don't change. Okay, it's just another wrapper around, for example, concurrence pattern. That we have like this idea of having a coordinator that can remember like the fan out architecture I mentioned. That's what we're having here. Multiple agents get to work and then they fan in. And we have this aggregation. I'm gonna show like, well, what's the benefit with that? They're like, you're drastically cutting total time. So you're kind of splitting the workloads. And I'm gonna show I'm not gonna run the codes, but I'm gonna show the codes in here from the concurrency one. I mean, I've just opened that. So like, what are you doing here? Like, so this is like a field operations agents. For what? Stadium safety agents. Let's see if you can correlate. Medical readiness, power systems, broadcast systems. When I created this demo, I say football, right? It's Americans say soccer. The World Cup was just happening in America, and then like, oh, imagine like if we had like a venue, and then we needed to validate all the checks to go live and broadcast like the match. Oh, that's the World Cup match readiness check. And what I did here, I put all of them to work in parallel. Okay, that's the only thing that has changed around the different orchestration patterns. I'm building them concurrently. So we have all of those agents verifying if the match can occur. Imagine, right? If one of those agents say, nope, they're, well, stadium safety, like it's overcrowded or like this is not safe. Imagine like, all sort of like of issues that could happen, but we have an agent for that. So it tells us if the match can proceed or not. But it's nice that, well, we can do that using that pattern. The handoff pattern, that's we have the conditional routing. How does it work? Imagine like if you have like this, a triage agent. Any companies, like could be a customer service, call center, something like that. But you have like this agent that's going to take the request of the customer and say, oh, look, I've been billed for something that I didn't pay. Right? So there is like this triage agent that knows that suspiciously identify that, well, that could be a case for like fraud, like we're not billing this customer. And so the triage agent would know, okay, I'm going to pass this to our specialist. It doesn't go through billing, has nothing to do with that, or being like a technical issue. So that's a case or like a scenario. It could even get like, or there's a payment, but I think the conversation, the context would be different. So like, I've paid for this product. Um, I'm not happy with it because it didn't attain my expectations. Oh, that's not suspicious, right? So that's a billing scenario. I want my refund. So the triage agent could just check and pass to the specialist agent, right? So if there's like an issue, I try like purchasing on the e-commerce portal, like it failed, I got this error message, I don't know what it means. Oh, the triage agent could just pass to a technical specialist, another agent. That's like what the handoff pattern does for us, okay? Let's see like on code, how it works. Uh, from this application here, let's close that, close other tabs. I'm gonna go to the UI in specific because I'm not gonna be approaching all of them, but what we have in here is like these triage agents, the billing agents, as I said, like fraud agents and technical support. What we have in here, well, that's the handoff UI, so I'm bringing dev UI for it. But there's another wrapper for that, like, uh, oops, I'm gonna bring this. Create handoff builder with, and then I have the different handoffs. From the triage, I have the subgroup, oh, like another color, but anyways, this one. Then I have like another handoff from billing to triage. Yeah, so you could have like different scenarios here, different ways of doing that. Another one, like from billing to triage, billing comes back to triage, the fraud comes back to triage, right? Because in the end, the triage is the one that coordinates things. So you need to hand off back. And there are some things in here that's, yeah, there were like some sort of, the library itself, I felt there some bugs with dev UI because it's that one. I would say, yeah, some requirements on dev UI for you to visualize how it works. If I wasn't using dev UI, I would never need to do that. But anyways, we have like a way of seeing what is orchestrated, okay? Uh, let's see like the timing here. We have like few more minutes. I just want to go a little bit further. I'm gonna get to the more complex scenario. I think for the handoff, we can visually see how it's doing, but I'm not gonna deep dive on like onto the whys, what happened. But we're gonna see that the agent it's smarter enough to identify scenario. Okay, and bring this one here, dev UI. Boom, same thing as before. What I want to see is that what's the prompt, Marcel, that you're using? Let's go. Well, I'm showing the UI, but I want to go to the console. You get in there and you copy exactly the message here. Support tickets, Sarah is saying, okay, yeah, I've been charged twice. And then like, yeah, I need the duplicate charge refunded immediately. Sure, let's go. And I don't want, well, this one's I think that was the previous one. Where's my new browser? I know it started. Let's see. I know what happened. It's still set to, I want the handoff. This is my startup project. I want to run that. Let's go on to it. 7089. So it should be like a new port. Let's put dev UI. Cool. So I have now my agents. I want to see the triage workflow. Look, nice. Yeah, it's cool that we didn't orchestrate. Well, in a way, we orchestrated that here. So you can see that, yeah, we have like kind of a graph view. The triage hands over to possibly to billing agent, fraud, technical, they all consolidate onto this handoff ends that comes back to it. We didn't use executors. Agent Framework did that for us. Let's run and see what happens. Okay. Well, handoff has started. The triage is saying to billing agents. So it's not like suspicious activities. It's just I paid like twice. So it just ran that. Okay. Billing agents, handoff agents, and came back to here, but you could dig and see what happens. Okay. But that's perfect, like for the scenario that we had. And you could see even the details that happen here. Tooling calls like that. What happened? That could see. You get um, the way how things work, right? So which is really clever. I like how things were put it together. Let's go back to the following patterns. Right, I'm gonna go to the Magentic one as a demo. The group chat. You can see here, like this was supposed to be like a cycle, like it actually comes from a coordinator and goes to the different agents. But what it does is that we have the shared conversation. The coordinator kind of hands over in turns. Like this one, what it's doing is we have like this builder creating something to do with like a research paper, right? Or like imagine like a more like a academia, like someone creating a particular paper, right? And then we're going to have a critic that's going to criticize, provide feedback on what was built. That would be like a researcher agent that would provide some insights with like grounded information from maybe other papers, and then a reviewer. So we have like these agents collaborating. But the way how the coordinator does is that, look, builder, it's your turn. Do your job. The builder finishes, comes back. Critic, now it's your turn. Reviewer, now it's your turn, comes back. And it does that on a cycle. This is the fastest way for you to burn tokens if you don't manage well. So there should be like in here, I put in termination rules. You could say sometimes things don't go like as planned. So you could say like, look, after like 3 turns, stop conversation. If you guys didn't agree to a particular output, just finish, right? But I think like as part of the reviewer on the codes, what it says that reviewer, once you are happy, say approved. The coordinator understands that, coordinator, when you see approved, you just finish the cycle here, the group chat. That's how it works. So the termination rules are really important in this case, because if you don't do that, you're going to be burning tokens. If things spin out of the way, you're just paying for that, right? So, but when like those agents work well, if they provide expected outputs, perfect. Things should just work. The terminations rules are important in here. I'm going to go straight to another example, the Magentic one, because the Magentic one is different, something that people are not familiar with. The Magentic pattern. So what happens this, interesting enough, this icon, right? The king, right? The manager, it coordinates like the different specialists. Imagine this as being similar as the handoff, but what happens that the manager, he plans, dispatches, and adapts. Marcel, what does it mean? You give them like a larger job, like a larger task, something that here like open-ended problem, something that you don't have a very logical way of solving. You have like you could have steps to sort that, but you need to figure out how things start working. Okay, the manager creates a plan for it, and then look, now I know that for your task, you're saying like research, analyze, verify, synthesize. So it could be a product that you're creating. I imagine that there needs to be some sort of analysis. There should some another agent verify if this analysis is is plausible or not, and depending on what this research is doing, it's things here like it didn't come, but anyways, it's just kind of handing off to different specialists. But out of like in the end, what it does that it comes back, analyze, and then like, oh look, you didn't provide that sort of path that I imagine it could be. It changes, right? According to your prompt. When I say that, it's like your prompt is a brain. You need to think about your prompt in a way. You're gonna see that the code for that, the prompt is massive, but wow, it's just like the power of like this particular pattern. Let's see like on codes. I'm gonna bring that one. This one is magentic. I'm gonna bring in here the console. The console we can see, well, we can see like the codes itself, but you can see here that, Marcel, did you create this like yourself? No, I did not. I use the AI to generate those prompts, okay? I want to demo a scenario that, what happens that, like, imagine like a security incident. And we have like incident commander. This is the manager. And it has like, it does like investigations, like SOC compliant. And that's, oh, there are like different things in here, like identity specialists. We have network specialists, endpoint, like for APIs, threat intelligence specialist, SOC analyst. We have like different specialists in here. All of them, they do particular tasks, okay? And they investigate, do like investigation of, well, there's been like an attack, some hackers coming and trying to screw up like the system, but they have different roles in here. And you can see those different turns. So allow like for 13 iterations. When you look in here, like the glue, this is the user prompt. We're just saying like we detect suspicious activity on employee account to determine what happened. What it's doing, we have this magentic workflow builder that brings all the specialists, we call like those participants, right? So they all here. Oops. Oh, that wasn't what I want to use, but they're all here. And then we're saying, okay, that's a name here. There's a description. Require plan sign off. Okay. So this, what I'm saying is that I am the human in the loop. I need to sign off on that. If I say false, but I think like by default is true. I'm just like reinforcing through code. By default is you are the human in the loop. If I said like this one to false, the orchestrator, the manager would do that itself. I could say max rounds. Oh, how many turns? How many stalls? Like they just wait for things. I could just wait and then maybe reset. So there are like some smarts, right? Because agents sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, but you need to cover for those scenarios. And the manager kind of coordinates that. So how does it work? I think like I'm gonna bring this one and start up. Okay. I know that conscious of time, I think this is going to be really the last demo. Oh, things are starting. Okay. I didn't put like a breakpoint, but there's been the Magentic group, cybersecurity incidents. And so things just work, triggering here, the query. I didn't put a breakpoint, but things are working. But it just stopped, okay? Because I am the human in the loop. It's saying here, the Magentic plan request, review authentication, analyze geolocation, investigate endpoint activity, cross-reference suspicious IPs, blah, blah, blah. Enter to approve or type feedback. I could go like iterations and talk to the manager. Look, like this is not good enough. Look from that lens. So you could do that. I'm gonna say, I'm gonna just enter to approve. Sure. Now things are gonna spin. All right. So we should be able to see that those different tools being triggered. I put like different colors to show that different agents are doing things. So authentications in here, like auth logs, MFA, sign-in anomaly detected. It's putting like some outputs. I know it's a lot. Just observe the colors, okay? Those are tools that are being triggered. And then from there, you would assume, okay, network. So there is a network specialist, provide like some output. This is a sort of like it's more like advanced in a way that Magentic, it can be complex, but it's really powerful at the same time. So endpoint in here, no traditional malware. It's kind of, remember that I'm doing things randomly, right? So that's how things are working. But the agents are getting those tools to get like some metrics, and then it's deciding what's going to happen. Okay, threat actor profile identified or threat intel. So things are happening here in a way that's, well, look, yeah, we're getting like some inputs from like those different agents, and let's see if some stage should have like the Magentic, the coordinator, to say, is that it? I think that's it. Based on analysis finding, okay, IOC, blah blah blah. There should be like the agent stamp and the actions confidence level. Yeah, I think it's doing that. Like chain, blah blah blah. There should be like a final consolidate timeline. I think this is it. We should have like the reference of the manager, but the consolidation tells me that the manager has been done like all of the checks. Okay, confidence levels, incident reports, and like it's very comprehensive. Severe justification, recommended immediate actions. That's like it's full on, but you see the power. Perhaps you could visualize this in scenarios that you have in your business, or if you want to take this one further as well for other scenarios. The executor, I don't want to dig onto that. It's more like a teaser for you. But the executor itself is the advanced scenario where we're going towards code, and you have full control. There's like this abstract class executor. It implements an identifier that tells, okay, you are this agent. It has an identifier, which is basically a unique ID. As simple as that. But there are multiple, because this is an abstract class, you can implement your own executors, but you're basically going to have an input and a typed output. There's a life cycle. Remember, like those events? Yeah. So there's like a particular method that you can leverage in having your own logic available. I'm just bringing like the inheritance from Microsoft websites. Okay, you could there are more. This is insane. Like it's not fully documented. But if you want to go down that path, which is a more like advanced scenario, but you have more control, you would need to understand like how they work. And it's my invitation for you, like more like a teaser for you to jump in onto those different executors and see how they work. Okay. And I just want to show, well, 5 minutes above on the code in here. When you look at the complex, let's bring that. I'm not going to run, but you could put like those breakpoints. Is this the complex one? It is. Same like workup match readiness, right? So it does that. But what's doing here is that, yeah, remember like the executor, right? So I'm creating the, oops, I wanted just to show this, all of them in isolation. Marcel, so you have like a single executor, like you're doing that yourself? Yes, I did. And then how I'm gluing them, it's Control F. Oh, for one. Here we go. I have my builder, and then I'm connecting. Remember, like those edges, I'm setting this myself. I'm not using a wrapper with agent workflow, but I'm doing that. I'm controlling. I have a fan out, a fan in, an output. Okay, cool. So you have full power to coordinate your own workflows. Yes, you do. If you want to go down that level, I'm going to just can you see here, dispatch executor. right? So that's more than enough. Like, so you know that input, output. Ah, that's how it works. Yes, yeah, that's how it works. Marcel, you don't have, I don't see AI here. No, I don't have AI on this one. So you don't need to have a logic, a non-deterministic implementation. You could just have as a job, right? This is a job that does something. You don't need to have AI. Let me see like where implementing AI. Is this like, do you have AI available here? No, I don't. Deterministic. Where do you have AI? Let's see if I remember. Not on this. Ah, this one. Chat client. I'm passing the chat client that was created. And then, do you have AI in here? Yes, I do. So in here, I'm wrapping. Right? So I have like my executor, a medical readiness. So for medical, yeah, the doctors like provide like readiness. I created using agents. I wrapped up all of that. Yeah, it's beautiful, like because now I have full control. I can do open telemetry. I can hook, audit, and do all of that. Yeah, that's the beauty. You have full control on that. Right? Key takeaways: pick the shape that fits your workflow, your workload. This is a kind of enterprise focus approach. I've been doing that for different companies, but that's kind of the baseline, like the foundation, really, right? So that's a really cool. You see, you understand now how it works. You can compose those patterns and use your like in your own workflows. Knowing the executors, it's nice because then you can go the next level, advanced scenarios, and explore. I have my repository in here. That's the QR codes. You can jump to that, download it. You need to provide like those secrets, right? So because you need to be connected to an LLM, have open AI key. Provided you have that, just take it, run it, and you see if things work. Okay. And yeah, I think that's it for me. Yeah, I know I passed like a few minutes, but I hope like you guys got to learn on this journey. Yeah. Veronica, Bill, back to you guys.
Thank you, Marcel. It was really good. And no worries, we started a little later, so it's okay. I do have a question for you. Do
Sure.
you have any tips for creating the prompts? I know you mentioned prompts and show a couple of them.
Yeah. Well, it comes down to prompt engineering, right? Let's say a new science. That one requires a little bit of like studying, but when you look like the codes in here, is that you're going to clearly define boundaries for like those. Let's see, I'm gonna get like one that's a little bit more complex. Well, you're gonna say like for our agents in here because this is what we call like the system prompts. You're defining a persona, the abilities, like what it can do, like the actions, and putting guardrails. Right? In my case, I have a particular output template. Uh, I would say like you could do like your own learnings. There are like different techniques for that, like learning prompt engineering, and that's applicable in here with AI agents. If you don't know that, now with ChatGPT, you can ask and show like, oh, what sort of techniques can I use for that? And challenge really using AI to create the prompts. I think like that's what I could say. But if you want to further dive into that, learning more about prompt engineering, I think that's my 2 cents on those.
Awesome, good advice. Thank you. Do we have any other questions from people? I don't see anything in the chat, but if someone
I have a question. Of the different patterns that you talked about, and I know you talked, for example, about the magenta being like so powerful. I'm curious which ones you see yourself using the most frequently.
To be honest, are the simple ones. I think like sequential, concurrent, the fan-out fan-in orchestration, architecture. Those are, I would say they're more traditional, right? I think like I've been experimenting with group chat. The other one, like I have used the handoff. Handoff works well because it's not like that complex. You're not burning like a lot of tokens. I think like even with testing, right? Those the simpler ones when you use for like enterprises, it's just easier to maintain. I say maintaining the codes, having your tests and your evaluations based on those prompts. When it gets like to the group chats, the Magentic ones, although like they are fully supported, right? It feels that it requires much more. I think like from a product perspective, if you're developing software, I think because that's really robust, you can have a lot around it because you need to create like those guardrails. You need to evaluate, see if things are not derailing, right? Even if you are wrapping that within workflows. But yeah, I see like the simpler scenarios in consulting. Right? That's where I've been working. So like the first three ones, sequential, concurrent, handoff, no brainer. They just work. Group chats, Magentic ones. Yeah, if you're really exploring a product, getting those smarts, if you have more time to invest on that, that's the way how I see. Like because like in consultancies, you want to get things done in a way that you can maintain, but at the same time you deliver a little bit faster. So yeah, although like those other ones is that like it's amazing, and but I haven't used them yet in organizations.
It makes a lot of sense. Thanks for that, Marcel.
I'm gonna grab like the source code because I put like the QR codes and I'm gonna put the link to it and then Bill put it. Perfect. That's the job.
I have a question, Marcel. In case of these products, of course, when you're developing, you will have a limited amount of data, and then you would test with the data. For example, if you take that customer service agent, when you were actually putting in production or handing it over to the client, how do you go about making sure it still has the expected outcome with the real-time data and the client's actual data, and also the client's data may change 1 year from now depending upon their seasons, their products. So what kind of best practices do you have?
That's a pretty good question. And I think like when you're looking at production workloads is that you need to have evaluators, prompt evaluators to check if your intent, the intents of the task, right, is validated according to what your agents can do. Because sometimes, like if you don't put like those guardrails, things could go completely out of way. Like it feels that I would say like I've been learning with that, but having like those evaluators allow you to I would say automatically deploy and validate on CI/CD, like on continuous integration. So you can validate the models before you get them to production. The other thing that's important is that I think with those patterns, they are resolving the more simplistic scenarios where agents could spin out of control. Like, I mean, like, let's say if you have like 1 million, 1 million users coming, and then you are spinning multiple agents to handle that for you, right? So you're simply consuming lots of resource. So you need to think about like the scale. what those patterns allow you to do is that you have a standards, like a market standards to perhaps split the processing. What I don't mention there is that I've worked with like pools of agents, and that's like, where do you get to learn that? Well, as soon as you pull like agents to production, you see them spinning out of control. I mean, like launching multiple workloads, you're gonna pay the price for it. So what you need to do is that if you want to have full control, the same as you do with web apps, that if you want to launch multiple agents or multiple web apps for like I don't know, a number of users come to our sites, you also need to be aware that those agents are going to happen like the same way. You could like lock that, put like some boundaries, or maybe spin from 0 to, I don't know, few instances, or you don't let them be created at all. So I've been working with like agent pools, because sometimes, most of the case, you want to have full ownership of the context. You want to avoid like leaks by really constraining. Okay, you receive like the request, you need an output. That's it. You finished. You could stay like on the pool, so other users could come and reuse that. So I've been doing that in production workloads, and that's being very effective, I would say. So I don't allow like multiple agents to spin out of control at all. I have just putting boundaries. So prompts, guardrails, evaluation, automation, CI/CD, and having control from logic using like pools. That's something that could be like another session to discuss, but yeah, something that I've been experienced with it.
Mm-hmm. And that control is done in something like Kubernetes on the node side?
It could be done like the infrastructure level, for sure. I've been doing at the application level. I don't let them, I'm kind of combining them, right? In general, if you're using Kubernetes, yeah, you could limit for infra. I'm kind of combining both application and infra.
Thank you.
Just to add a tiny bit onto Anu's question and Marcel's answer, I just posted a link for those interested to something about evals in Agent Framework. It has some support. And then also call your attention to an open source tool called Agent Eval that's specifically designed for Agent Framework. And it's done by an MVP, and it's a pretty cool tool. I've played around a bit with it, and it's pretty neat.
Yeah, there is another thing that you just they launch it with build. So there's like the whole thing about agents harness, right? So where you're putting like those boundaries. When I said guardrails, it's about the harness. So with the agent framework now, there is a library that allows you to constrain like your agent, so programmatically. I have not brought this in here, but there's another library that you could leverage for agent harness.
Dig in the questions. Anybody have any final questions for Marcel? Okay. Hey, Jason, did you have anything you wanted to wrap with?
I think we just wanted to mention the couple events that are coming up that we know about. One is in November, which is Boston Code Camp. That's Saturday before Thanksgiving. And what's the next one? Next one, what was the other one, Bill?
Hank?
Hank, oh yeah, Hank and Donna are coming in September 22nd at the Nerd. So it'll be an in-person event.
So if you want to come up here, Marcel.
I wish. maybe sometime, yeah.
Cool. I think that's it for the moment. We'll have more
So
later.
So thank you, Marcel. Welcome to all the new Boston Azure AI joiners, and welcome to everybody around the world. Jason, so this video will be posted to the Boston Azure AI YouTube channel. Is that right? Like in the next day or two?
Yeah, should be up there.
Okay. I'll post a link to the channel in general in the chat in a moment. And besides that, everybody have a good day, evening, and see you next time. Thank you again, Marcel. It was great.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Hey, you guys have a great evening.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Marcel. I learned a
Thank you.
lot.